for Gun Rights with your host, Amanda Suffecool, part of the DC Project.
So, hey folks, welcome to Women for Gun Rights. Once again, another Friday night and another really cool girl that I'm going to introduce you to. So today's gal comes out of Pennsylvania, and that would be Ms. Kelly Pidgeon, and she is armed and feminine, amongst other things. And she is active in Second Amendment things, kind of all over the country. I had the pleasure once of walking through SHOT Show in Vegas with her, and fans were in a variety of places. I was like, wow, way more people know you than I can even imagine. So it was good. So, hey, Kelly, thanks so much for joining us on Women for Gun Rights.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's good. It's good to have you. So let's start out by talking a little bit about Armed and Feminine, because I think that that's kind of the precursor to a lot of the stuff that you do.
Correct. So Armed and Feminine is my business that provides firearms training for women, all different disciplines of guns, anywhere from beginner to advanced. And I started that in 2015, and long story short, it just took off, which has been crazy. We've had a few slow seasons, but mostly it's been insane. I watched your newsreel today where it said, how explosive the growth has been in gun ownership for women. Mm-hmm. And women are a little different from men in that they really want to learn before they actually, start touching guns. They want to know, what is this called? What does that do? How does this work? And so they want to really be safe first and foremost, and so they are more likely to come out for gun training. So that's pretty much how it started. And then my producer, aka the husband, said, we should start a YouTube channel. And I sort of balked at that, and I said, okay, let's just do this as a reference library for our students, because as an instructor yourself, there's a lot of information that we give to people, especially the newbies, and they do great throughout the whole day and they have a really good time, and then they get home and go, how did she do this? So we created this resource library so people could go back to refresh whatever they want to see. And then it got really crazy that people from all over the world started watching it. So it's mostly educational. We really wanted it to be real and, how should I say, like, correct. I'm not going to be, well, that and I'm older, but I'm not going to be the chick that's shooting guns in a bikini, because that's not what I'm about. Even though that gets a whole lot of views, it's not what I do. And so this was so great. When we were at the rally in DC 2 years ago, I had a gentleman come up to me and he said, can I get a picture with you? My friend who lives in St. Petersburg, Russia, followed your channel and she learned how to shoot by watching your videos. Well, that's kind of scary, but she did. And so I made a whole video for her. And then she got in touch with me, and it was the sweetest thing. She was so complimentary, and she's like, I learned how to shoot. And now I shoot IDPA and I teach other women how to shoot. And to me, that is the biggest compliment, when you can help someone to grow in that way and to get them comfortable and confident and proficient, and then take that knowledge and share that with other people. So to me, that was like the best compliment ever was. So sometimes the channel's fairly active, sometimes because of the 100 hats that I wear on top of these curls, doesn't really permit me to do content as often as we would like to get it up. So we're trying to get better about that. And then mysteriously, I had no idea either, we are nominated for one of the Gundy Awards this year.
I saw that.
I didn't even know until Diana pointed it out. Woman Influencer of the Year. Yeah, I'm not going to win that. But what an amazing cast of women who are in that lineup. And I thought, whoa, just to be in the lineup with it sounds so miscongeniality, right? Be in the lineup. But true story. And I've never really liked that word influencer. There's something about it that is just off-putting to me. But you can make an impression on someone in a good way, educationally, through confidence, through self-esteem, whatever. I think it's just a great thing. So we'll see what happens. Voting starts January 1.
Okay, there you go. So are they done putting people in it? Do you think that, or are they putting more in? Because I saw you're on there, Diana's on there, our friend Jehudi Reamer, the Pew Pew Jew, is on there. And
Beth Walker's on there.
Beth Walker.
Beth is on for Best Shooter. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it was really funny because there's not a kind of a way to do a search, because and so you have to you really spend a lot of time on that website trying to figure out who all
There are a lot of people who are on there.
There's a lot of categories.
A lot of but you know what? I think it's good in a way, because it's showing how involved in a productive and positive manner so many people in the industry are, either in terms of advocacy or in shooting or influencing, like whatever. But we've really grown as a gun community, and far it's all been really positive. So that's a really good way to rope new people in, with welcoming open arms, to see where we're all, because firearms owners, and this, are some of the kindest, most giving, considerate, compassionate people you could ever find. It's great.
Yeah, they really are. And my brother, my radio partner, likes to say, that if you talk to a gun person, they'll be like, here, let me take you to the range, let me teach you, let me show you, here, you want to shoot this. He says, if you've got a motorcycle or a race car, they don't go, here, go ahead, just take it for a spin. Right? It's a completely different thing.
And I got to experience that really firsthand. Last year I shot the large 3-gun match, first one, and of course I didn't have a shotgun, and our friend Lori's like, use mine, and Jody was like, here, use this, take this. Like, there was always someone at any turn that said, just borrow this, try this. And it's just a really warm feeling that it is that kind of group. Really appreciate it.
Well, and you're going to be shooting more 3-gun this year, I take it.
I am hoping to. I just chatted with the producer about getting some more appropriate guns, so I don't have to borrow a thing anymore. And he really didn't say anything here if he says yes or no. But hopefully, if I can stay well, I'm going to finally get my ankle hopefully fixed in January, so I can really beat on it a whole lot more than last year. So why not?
So January before SHOT Show or after?
No, after. That was a big thing I had with my doctor. And because I said, when can I use this again? And he's like, no, you're going to do this after you come back from a SHOT Show, because you'll have to stay off of it. So I should be really good and ready, for summer.
That'll be good. Yeah. So yeah, because we actually have a video that we'll play in a little bit, which is you at the Capitol Steps. And you're wearing an ankle brace during this because your ankle's giving you such fits.
Uh-oh. Is that video coming now?
Yeah, you want me to watch? Yeah, let's play it.
Okay, so, let's see it.
Here we go.
2015, 1 in 10 women identified as a gun owner. In 2020, 1 in 4 did. Women are the fastest growing segment of gun owners in America. We have no profile. We come from all walks of life, we're all ages, in all colors. But there's one thing we do have in common. We are all stepping up to be our own self-protector in the face of unrest and defund the police. We are worth protecting. Gun rights are women's rights.
So if you look,
that was the little brace.
Yeah, if you look right at the beginning, you'll see it, and then they crop out. But it almost looks like it's like just an odd sandal. But
yeah, that's the look I was going for, because I most days I wear a full air cast on it, and I thought, oh, I can't do that with the skirt on. So I was really concerned I wasn't going to roll right off those steps. And our videographer Tim is so awesome to work with, and I had to wear the HBIC cap to do that one, and I thought, oh, just don't roll down these stairs. So here we go. It'll be like a year and a half later. I'm finally going to get it fixed.
Yeah, so tell folks the backstory about that video. Where were you? What were you doing? How did it come about? Because it is really impressive.
Right. So the way back story is being part of the DCProject, of course, which we highlight. So back in 2016, I believe it was, I was voluntold to be Miss Pennsylvania for the DCProject. I'm like, okay, whatever, and I'll do it. And once again, met some amazing women, learned all about what advocacy was. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, why didn't I start this sooner too? And so, through the DCProject, we have our giant annual trip to Washington to meet with all of our congressmen and women, Congress people. Is that right? And really just, offer ourselves out as a resource to them for educational purposes, let them know why gun rights are so important for women, and when they have anti-gun rights, what bad things can happen, incidental, horrible things. So, of course, COVID, and then we'll say the January 6th thing too, they shut down and were not being very inviting in the Capitol buildings. So we just took a small contingency to Washington, D.C., and had those lawmakers come out to functions to meet with us. And thankfully, so many of them were so willing. The 2A caucus, Senator Massey and Boebert hosted us, which I think was fantastic. A lot of big name folks showed up in support. And it was just an overall fantastic event. And so while we were there, the best part of Washington, D.C. being shut down is there were no crowds anywhere. It was awesome. So it made being able to film videos and great optics for photographs amazing, because there weren't a whole bunch of people that you had to shoot around. So we took the opportunity for everyone who went to be able to do just like a little 30-second walk and talk, if you would, in terms of whatever our particular stance would be on gun rights and how they affect women. And so the boss, Diana, said that mine needed to be a little, we'll say, pointed. So I don't have any smile the entire time. I just wanted to be fairly emotional on the deep end, and factual, and really factual, because so much of our opposition is about emotion and crying and screaming, and emotion, unfortunately, is what drives so much of what we're up against. And so we are learning as a group and as advocates on how to inject all types of emotion into what we're doing, along with the facts. So, I think we're making great progress for an organization that has only been together, less than 10 years. What is it, 7 now? It's going on our 7.
Yeah, it'll be 7 in 2022, 6 years.
So, right. Yeah. And so to be able to get to the achievements that we have arrived at already, I think is pretty amazing. And that isn't done without the help of sponsors and everyday Joe and Joannas who donate to us to be able to help use our voices to represent them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And your video, it came out amazing, as did a couple others. If you're watching from the audience, it is so amazingly hard to walk and talk and then know where to put your eyes, because you're trying to do this. And then they're like, okay, do it again. Okay, do it again.
And get it done in 30 seconds, right? And don't fall. Don't trip, don't fall. Get the message across, look good.
And say it exactly the same way each time, right? Each time. And it's like... every time mine was different. Every time. Yeah.
I got to see yours a little bit from the outset. And I think I got mine by the 6th, which was crazy, because by the sit, bam, I'm had it, and I didn't have steps where I was practicing. And I don't know if the steps threw me off or what, but like, darn it, there we go again. And so I was off to the side while you were filming yours. And I thought, okay, that's 2, that's 3. I'm not feeling as bad right now because everybody is doing it. Everyone is doing it. Thankfully, we had beautiful weather.
Yeah, it was good though. It was good, and yours is just amazing. So, so you're involved in the DC project. So you were Pennsylvania state leader. You're still Pennsylvania state leader?
I still am.
Right, and you're the Region 1 director. So
correct. That's for the Northeast.
Northeast. So why don't you tell folks about what does a region director do?
Boy, she keeps all of her state directors informed of anything that might be happening on a level, so that they can pass that down to their delegates. For example, if I see something coming to the floor or something being introduced, I will share that with them so that they can get their gals involved to email or call their Congress people for or against either one. I do a lot of momming. Momming never stops. You know, if they're having difficulties with communications with their delegates, or they want to run something by me in terms of fundraising, conflict, or can you help me write a template letter to my representative so I can share that with other people. You know, a lot of the gals in the Northeast, with the exception of 2, are really new to guns and advocacy, which is fine. It's great. You know, they have so much great energy, but so much of the lingo is new to them. The protocol is new to all of them. So they just really want to learn and get it all right, you know, or as correct as possible. So they look polished, because we want our gals to look polished and put together and knowledgeable, because we really want to put on a professional front. So a lot of the contact I have with them is about how to do just such things, and protocols of how things happen. So really a lot of what I do is education, education, education. Really a fun group of gals that I get to work with. So, and actually I learn a lot too from our Miss New Jersey, Teresa Einacker. I don't know if she's been a guest already or not. If she has,
she has.
Need to get her on.
She
is awesome. Like, she's probably really sad that she actually gave me her cell phone number, because I will text her questions. You know, for those of you at home who don't know Teresa, she is appointed to the SCOTUS bar in New Jersey. So she's an attorney, and she is one smart cookie. And I'll say, explain this to me. Does it mean da 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 da? And then she'll tell me, and then I can share it with everybody, or she can share it on our call. So, you know, the depth of experience in combination with the newness that we have on the DC project, just clicks really nicely.
Okay, man, something just popped. We're having storms, so
I didn't hear that.
Okay, well, that was I was waiting to make sure that we were still going, because, you know, technology being technology, the studio.
I know. I saw your show the other night where your guest or you were the guest, like gone, the tornado hit or the winds hit.
Yeah, I was hosting, I was gasting, and we were out of South Dakota, and they got hit by something. Yeah, and it was like,
Plan B,
done.
Plan B.
What are we gonna do? Yeah. So I think one of the interesting things is that these women want to be involved and they want to be active, and yet our public education system has let us down, because most of us know how the government works from Fraggle Rock, Schoolhouse Rock, and Conjunction Junction, right? And so, you know, you'll see them say, this is a bill, it's only a bill, sitting here on Capitol Hill. But they don't, you know, it's like, how do you talk to what's a congressman versus what's a senator, versus when you get back into your state, what are they called there? And
Right.
are they, if they're in the House of Representatives in your state level, is it a
Right.
congressman still? Is it not? It's a
Hmm.
representative, all of
Hmm.
this stuff. And so you don't even know how to start to draft a letter because you don't know what to
Hmm.
call them. Right? I mean,
Hmm.
and so I
Right.
think that stops so many people from the body of the text, which they know what they want to say. They just don't know how to
Hmm.
deal with the greeting.
Hmm. Yeah, Basic Civics 101, I think we've seen be very lacking. And, my kids have not been in school for quite a long time, so I haven't been following the curriculum, but I could probably guarantee that she didn't know how a bill becomes a law. I don't know. I can see now that a lot of these parents are really being involved in the curriculum, and it's making a lot of good, positive change. And I hope that they can continue to do so. But yeah, and actually on congress.gov, and that's where I get a lot of my information,
Mm-hmm.
they have tutorials on there. They're not as fun as Bill on Schoolhouse Rock, which thank you. I'll be saying that all night in my head. They're not as fun, but they are nice videos. And they just over and show you the process of all of those things,
Mm-hmm.
even about committee meetings, etc. So I will send some of my girls to those videos on congress.gov. But you've got to be willing, any kind of advocacy, whatever that might be, you've got to be willing to put in the time for homework, um, and for appointments, and it can be thankless sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it certainly does. But if you truly and strongly believe in something, which we all do, um, we are willing to put in that work. We're willing to put in that work and give up our own personal time. And sometimes by the time I log into social media, which I've been learning to hate, the unnecessary evil, it's like 10 to 11 at night that I'm actually logging on. I go, how do people do this? Over and over, because of course I get really busy times, and I'm, talking with my local representative here in Pennsylvania, which I love. I worked his campaign, and that usually will give you an in,
Mm-hmm.
just work a campaign. And so he will ring up my ear about, should I co-sponsor this? How do you think I should vote for this? Is this good? Which is outstanding. And, so a lot of my time during the week is communicating with the Pennsylvania representatives. So it's a commitment like anything else. So you've got to have the give and takes, if you will. And our girls are great at that.
Yeah, they are. And the fact that they're interested and they're willing, that's
Hmm.
because in order to win, you got to show up. That's the first
Right,
part. And then once you
right,
show up, somebody will show you the ropes, somebody will show you how, and somebody will help
right.
you do that. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
What I'm kind of hoping for, well, not for me, except that my producer keeps saying,
Okay.
"Oh, Senator Pigeon sounds really good," and you know, we've had some of our representatives run for office.
Right?
Like if you truly want to make a difference, yes, go vote. First thing you got to do is go vote.
Mm-hmm.
To make an impression with your representatives and let them know where you stand in a nice way, right? Very diplomatically and politely get your point across. But thirdly, to really make that difference is to be a public servant in an official
Mm-hmm.
office. If that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be your school board or your local representative for your state, or a state senator, or even your local representative in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how you truly can affect a lot of change or block change that other
Mm-hmm.
people want to make. And I've thrown it around in my brain a lot of times, like, oh, could I do that? Could I do that? I don't know. Sometimes I think I can. Sometimes I think I would never want to, because I watch some really good people get beat up
Oh
a
yeah.
lot, in Congress over one little thing. And there are always two sides. There's
Mm-hmm.
an anti and a pro, no matter what the topic might be.
Right.
And so you're going to get either way. So you definitely need big shoulders because the trolls and keyboard warriors are going to be there or not listen to it, but you got to listen to them because they're your constituents. And the second piece is, like, it doesn't come cheap. Like, you need to raise a lot of money to be able to get in and run a major race. And unfortunately, I think that piece is a huge drawback because there are so many fantastic people who could hold these offices and make an amazing impression and do good work, but they don't have the funding to do so. Except like this dude in New Jersey who paid what, like $153 to become the lead senator in New Jersey, the truck driver, right? And so I think that was definitely an indication of how angry the people over there in New Jersey really are.
Yeah, so I think he did win as a state senator. Yeah,
right. He did. He did, absolutely. But that is definitely not the way that usually goes. Like you got to have a lot of backing and like financially, you've got to be able to get places to meet. You got to make all those crappy little signs that we'll use as backers later on the range. But I think that is a deterrent for a lot of people. Is they're going to crucify my family. They're going to find all the skeletons in my closet, and I can't raise enough money. And it kind of sucks. And I always say, like, the only criteria for getting into that office in the end is get more votes than the other guy, right? Like, that's all you got to do. Get more votes than the other guy. There's no test. There's no educational requirement, right? So how do you get more votes than the other guy? That's the hard part. You got to have money to go out and meet people and get their votes.
Yeah, because they've got to know you. So it's name recognition, and how do you get your name out in front of somebody? Yeah,
it's not like, my friends will make fun of me because I'm not very good at wine. Lori will get a kick out of this one. Our friend, I buy wine by how pretty the label is because I just don't speak wine, which is horrible, right? But nobody really goes, oh, she has a pretty sign on the road, I think I'll vote for her. Like, that doesn't happen this way. That just doesn't happen. People who are super voters and interested are really doing their research about who are these people and are they likable and do I like them? Do they share the same views as me? It's not just about, oh, she looks great, I'll go vote for her. No.
Right. No, I think that one other way to make an impression and make a difference is to get involved in somebody's campaign, and it's whether you get involved in a campaign or whether you get involved with your county party. And so if you start to be active there, you volunteer or you show up to all the stuff, pretty soon the people who are running for office look to you and will lean on you for different things, and you can create a relationship with at least the statewide guys pretty darned easy that way. The federal guys have a little more insulation separating them from a general county party just because their districts are so big. And their budgets are big, so they have the ability to have a staff that is pretty amazing. But Ohio, they're running a Senate race because Rob Portman is not rerunning. And the number that I'm hearing tossed around is that if you want considered in that race, you need a $30 million budget. Right?
That just turns my stomach. Like, not only does it make my jaw drop, which your viewers just saw, right? But it turns my stomach to know, what could we do with that $30 million per person if it weren't going to this campaign? Like, how many meals could we put on the table over at the food bank, right? How many veterans shelters could we have made for homeless veterans in different communities? A lot. And, the
problem with that is it's not the government's money. It's in somebody's pocket.
I know.
So the cool part, regardless, is that money gets spent and it goes to businesses and it goes to radio stations and it goes to TV stations and the guy who prints signs and so it gets out into into the population, but it is not given or gifted for good works. It just greases the wheels of the economy.
Well, that's true. It can help the small business people in your area. That is true for sure. But I have to sneeze. Has anyone ever had to do that on your show? I apologize.
No.
It didn't come out.
It's not the Rona, is it?
No, I was pre-treating and I took a Sudafed about a half an hour before we got started. I'm like, no, some allergy going on. I apologize about that. Woo, woo. So how many people are you going to have running in that?
Oh, it's more than on one hand right now.
Oh, we have a very, very important senatorial race coming up in Pennsylvania. So we have one Republican who's technically a rhino and one Democrat who we don't really like. Used to be pro-gun, now he's not. So the Republican is retiring after his term is up, which is this year. And so many people have thrown their hats into the ring from the Republican side. Yeah. The Democrats are only offering up one person, which is our current Attorney General, Josh. So he just does everything wrong. But anyway, I was shocked that he's the only person they are going to present. But on the Republican side, my gosh, there might be at least 12 already. And many of them already have ads on TV. It wasn't even until I think it's going to be May this year. And guess who one of them is? Dr. Oz.
Oh, I saw that. So
did you see that?
Yeah, the interesting part is that a lot of them won't get to the primary. So what they'll do is they're going to spend their money now. They're going to be in the polls. So they're going to be in the polling, and then some will back out to give another one a boost. And so they toss their hat in, but it's kind of an iffy in, if you will, and it just doesn't quite make it to the voters.
Right. So I think the sentiments in Pennsylvania is not leaning toward Dr. Oz. Like, he's running as a Republican, but he says the term gun violence way too often. And like, from our perspective, our platform, and he thinks that the government should budget to the CDC money to be able to study gun violence, which is illegal, to do right now. And he wants to affect change. Well, dude lives in New Jersey. All right. He is using the address of his in-laws, which is in Philadelphia. Hello. You don't even live in Pennsylvania. This is crazy. And so he's really relying on his rock star TV persona, celebrity, if you will, to, try to really catapult him to the top of the ranks of those particular candidates in the primary.
It will generally win because it's all about name recognition.
No kidding. I went over to, after I read it was a tweet that I had seen, not that I tweet, but I had seen it posted from someone else about funding the seed to research gun violence. It's not a mystery. I can tell you about it anyway. I went to his Facebook page. I'm like, I'm just going to see what's happening over there. Man, was he getting hammered. Every one of his posts about, making change. Well, how are you going to change everything when no one else did? And the people who were so in favor of him were not in our state. They're like, boy, if I lived in Pennsylvania, I would vote for you. Yes, you don't. And I don't want to rush to judgment, but of course, I tend to be a single issue voter, and if all of my candidates have the same thought process issue, then I go down the line to economics and some other things. And yeah, he's got the popularity. He certainly has the pretty wine label across his chest. But I just don't know that he would do the best job. Like, you don't know. You don't know who's going to do the best job until they actually get there and you see a voting record. Right. That's the hard part. It's difficult.
I don't know. I mean, look at it. What was the history of the actors turned politicians, and who has done well? So Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronald Reagan, and
Clint Eastwood. He was the mayor of Carmel.
yeah, and then what
Remember?
was that guy's name? Fred something Gopher on the Love Boat. Remember him?
Oh yes, I don't know
Yeah.
what
He
his
was
office
he
was,
was a
but
congressman.
right,
Congressman
right,
Gopher.
right.
Right. No, he's got a real name, but not that I can remember it,
The
but
love hole.
right. But
Yeah. Now
so
that'll be in my head.
there, it'll get rid of the Schoolhouse Rock. So so
Right.
so some wait, who else was shoot, who was it? There was another, the bald wrestler guy, wasn't he out in Seattle-ish?
Bald wrestler. That can be so many.
Ventura. Jesse Ventura.
Oh, Jesse. Yes, Jesse Ventura. The
There.
Rock. Jesse the Rock. Jesse the
Yeah.
Body
The body.
Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
yeah,
it
the big
Minneapolis?
kind of
Was it?
mustache.
It was, I don't know.
I think it was Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of them have done pretty well, and other ones
Yeah.
I'd be petrified to have them involved.
Right.
So you just kind of you gotta take them as people with name recognition, and then vet the rest of their platform.
Right, and it goes right back to my original thought about this: is the only thing you need to do to win is get one more vote than the other guy. Period.
We
Period.
have a race here in my state, in my county, that we had to do a recount on, a full recount,
Wow.
because he won by one vote.
One.
One vote, literally.
Yeah.
One.
That's. And so, did the recount end up being the same?
Exactly the same,
same
but it was
result?
like, yeah, so it was like, thanks, Mom. I mean, I don't know, when you say, does my vote really matter? Yeah, one
And that
vote.
and that it sure does. And but that actually would give me faith in the counting process,
If
and in that particular state, like, oh wow, we got the same result
Right.
twice. Like, that at least gives me a little bit of hope in that
Right.
process.
I learned a
So,
lot about the
yeah.
recount process, that if it's within
I'm
the half a
sure.
percent, they recount, and they have to do a hand recount. So,
Wow.
so they're going through and tallying, and there has to be one Republican, one Democrat for every one of the
Present.
for everyone as they do the tally
Good.
sheets. And then so it's like wherever the situation is. I mean, because when you go down and vote, you've got things that are in your voting precinct that may not be in the neighboring voting precinct, libraries and trustees and those types of things. So sometimes recounts are pretty small, but every single person who did an absentee or mail-in vote, they have to retouch those to figure out which category. So if they're looking for some small compartment thing, they have to touch and look for all of those at the same time. So the fact that they are looking at every ballot and their votes come out exactly the same is a testament to the system and to the detail orientedness of the folks who work at the Board of Elections.
Yeah. I was just going to mention, dovetail with you for the Board of Elections when you said get involved. You were telling me be involved. So I started being involved in my local committee, and more so from a brainstorming and recommendation standpoint. I said, I'll help you wherever I can. But I was completely shocked. Now, mind you, in our county, we have, like 88,000 residents. It's very rural. That's it. Majority are right in, the city, which isn't even really a city.
The city.
Right. But there are so many empty positions.
Precincts.
And so I was like we have 9 auditor positions that are, or was it treasurer? Tax collector. 9 different tax collector positions in our county vacant. vacant, and all of and many other local offices as well. But even still on the Board of Elections, like when you say, you need to have these people who are counting, it's just like the employees who don't exist for so many employers now. Like, we are really hurting for people to be part of, run for the Board of Elections, or run for your local auditor or tax collector, or volunteer in your local committee, because the local committees can be really, oh, there you go again, that word, influential, really influential and helpful to candidates even statewide. But we're not seeing it. We're not seeing people be, the people are voting, at least in our county, they're voting, but they're not being involved. And I'm not sure how we fix that.
Yeah. And everybody's like, I'm so busy. Well, I get it, but
who isn't?
But
right.
Pause a second and figure out what is critical, what is important to you, and then do your your hour or 2 hours a week donor time, whatever that is.
Right.
And it will make a huge difference. Right.
And I think about that, like, how do we waste an hour a week anyway? We waste a lot of time
social
just
media,
mindlessly
TV.
Right. Well, I don't watch television. My producer watches a lot of television. I
tell people I'm married, so I don't have custody of the remote.
It just doesn't even interest me. I don't know why. Like, it's on and I hear things, and I'll even say, even I know this is a repeat. Why are you watching? And I don't even watch I get stuck in front of the TV when I'm with my mom every night, though. But yeah, like, how do we waste an hour every week doing whatever that maybe a little more committed, or a little more dedicated, or a little more regimented, that we could say, all right, I'm going to give 1 hour to my local committee to try to make a difference. How important is it for you to make a difference? I don't want to hear you complain in the end. And that's usually what happens, is people end up complaining, when you did nothing to try to help and make a difference to start with. So, and the money thing too, I was going to say, like, the girls, when they come out for gun training, back to guns, of course, which is our topic. They're like, well, how much is guns? They get to try different things before they buy anything. And I'm like, well, that particular one is going to run you about $550. And they're like, wow. I'm like, yes, but you just told me you go into Starbucks every day and spent $7. If you stopped going to Starbucks every day for 2 months, you could own that beautiful little gun right there. So it just comes down to priorities.
It really does. And I'm going to go back to the central committees for a second. When you really look at it, and if you were interested at all, it is not an hour a week commitment. It is actually way less than that. So if you're interested in politics at all, then that is a great place to start. And you can call your county chairman and you can ask, what is the commitment expectation? Because I know in Ohio, it's typically 4 meetings a year, plus whatever, right? 4 meetings a year.
That's hardly anything, yeah.
Right, plus whatever you want to then expend in addition, but 4 meetings, yeah.
And, while you're there, you get to meet, it's catchy. Catchy. But while you're there, you get to meet so many great people and a lot of these candidates. And since you are working there, then you get to have the ears of those particular people to try to influence, if that's what you want to call it, or make it for what, your particular platform might be, or what is important to you on your different platforms. I just made a bit of noise to my representatives, both the state senator and my rep. We have a program here called PACE, and it helps lower income elderly people afford medication. So if you meet the criteria, you get super discounted medications, and it's funded by the lottery, right? So who buys lottery tickets besides my mom, right? Old people. So my mom just received a letter in early November that said, she was losing her card because she was $146 over the limit.
Oh
Okay.
man.
And it's a gross amount. It's a
Mm-hmm.
gross amount of money. So that's even before they take out your Medicare premiums and health insurance and all of those other things. And so I sat and did the math under her regular insurance. And so being over $146 for the entire annual income would make a difference of her paying an additional $3,600 a year for her medications.
Wow.
Again, they have to draw the line somewhere. So there was a bill that was out there, and I had heard about it somewhere when I was searching about a particular program. And so I saw there was a House bill out there. So I right away, I wrote to my representative, and I said, hey, are you going to support HB 1260? Here's what happened. Wrote to the state senator. I'm like, if it ever gets over there, are you going to support this? And he's on appropriations committee too. And they know me because I've worked their campaigns and all of this stuff. And I'm not saying that mattered, but I explained they opened the channel of communication to just listen. Right. And that's the bigger deal, is not that I expect them to do whatever I ask them to do, but they will definitely open the line of communication to hear what you have to say. And I'm like, so here's the deal. I know you have to draw the line somewhere. And under the legislation that neither of them actually wrote, sponsored, I explained it to them, and amen. So now to the governor, and he doesn't usually do anything we like him to do here. So we'll see. But at least I was glad that they listened and understood why it was important, or even if you had a COLA adjustment, so even though that's not really for gun rights, but it's all about the process. Again, like what we do at the DC Project is create relationships with your representatives and their legislative aides and their secretaries and all of those other influential people in their offices. You make that nice relationship so that they will at least hear what you have to say. And that really is the bigger piece of all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that relationship means then they will listen to you, they will hear you, they will consider and contemplate it, and you can be assured that your email or correspondence doesn't just go in the circular file when it hits the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's why it's important to cultivate those over time. Don't go in like gangbusters demanding things, right? That whole diplomacy, the presence, the smile, the handshake, followed by hand sanitizer. All of those etiquette types of Miss Manners things you still need to put in place to really be professional, because if you don't, they're going to put the walls up right away. So, a little tutelage in manners and diplomacy will get you farther in the door for sure.
Okay, well, speaking of tutelage and tooting, do you? I know that Holly, as part of the DC Project, is putting together a series of videos. So, do you think that your etiquette and manners one and how you approach and those two things have sufficient value, or do you think the DCP gals come already armed with that?
Many of them do. I think once they learn the processes, they'll become a little more polished about those things. Because let's just be real, is that, we come from all walks of life, from all corners of these United States. And so people are people, and they reflect constituents wherever they are. As my husband say, put lipstick on a duck and it's still a duck, right? But I think if we can get across the core components of how, that would make a significant difference in DCP University. Yeah. I love that concept. I think it's really a great concept for people to be able to a lot of personal growth and really, really find more confidence in themselves when they're building these relationships. I think all of that will do nicely and lend itself to it.
Okay, well, we've got a little bit of time left. Let's talk about funding of the DCP, and what do they do with the money? Why does DCP need money, and what do they do with it? Because you are like Scrooge McDuck and counting all of the coins in the corner.
Yes, I am the keeper of the books. So the DC Project, when we first started, everything was done on as we coined the phrase, on our own time and our own dime, because we were so passionate about what we did. But that becomes difficult. So, there are so many people, and, we've heard the terms before, the silent majority, where, people just throw their money in an organization and go. Well, there are lots of gun rights organizations out there now. 25 years ago, everybody just gave their money to the NRA and they serve everything. Well, that's not the case anymore. There are so many good organizations that are, and we all are fighting for the same dollar. And so what we need funding for is a travel, number one, because we traveled to Washington for a number of reasons. Not only just all of these meetings, for significant testimony in committees. So if something comes before the Judiciary Committee, we can produce a witness, an expert witness, or somebody with a very endearing story that might shed light on a particular bill for or against. And, I'm still in awe where, we had 3 members of the DC Project represented in a month at congressional hearings. And I'm like, how many other organizations can really say that? Like, that's incredible. And again, this comes with the relationship building that we have done over the years, right? So Massey loves the group, and if he wants to call a witness, he'll just call Diane and say, I need somebody who does A or who can speak to B. The National Shooting Sports Foundation has found the beauty or the worth of the DCProject, and since their PAC is very influential on the Hill. And they produce, I hate to say that, like the old bald guy, right? The typical gun owner face. They like to call on the DC Project because they know the women are well versed and have great stories and will have a good appeal in particular hearings. So they will call on us. So travel is a huge piece of that. Education nationally, if we can begin or continue educating, not only our families, friends, and communities, like that's how we got to get people to our side, because our nemesis are super well funded, right? All of their state directors are paid. We are not. And so I hate to say it, but the only way to fight fire is with fire. And so for us to be able to grow and continue to grow, we need that funding to be able to provide the education all the way down, to the street level in all communities. And that's what our state directors are charged with doing, is recruiting people throughout their states, and hopefully one in each district, so that we can continue to educate. So a lot of the money goes for, educational purposes and travel to particular events to be represented for education and testimony. So, we have been so fortunate. If I were to go in front of Mossberg, they're like, Kelly Pidgeon, who? Really? So we've been so fortunate to have the face of Diana Muller, who leads this, our founder, who has, been in the gun industry for many years. And through her relationship building, which has been great, she has been able to secure some major sponsors for us. And those include the likes of Mossberg and Ruger this year. We have, Benelli, Smith & Wesson is coming on board, and Sig Sauer is a newer sponsor that we had this year, and they are signing on again this coming year for us. We have another new sponsor this coming year, U.S. Law. Hello. They signed on for Rio Nation for us because they believe in the cause. And so many of them are like, I always go back to this too, is like, they're like, well, I do this instead of my own work a lot of times. And I said, listen, if we don't have the Second Amendment, what I do doesn't matter anymore. What you do doesn't matter anymore. You're not going to make Mossbergs anymore if we don't have this, So we have really, our new little slogan of safeguarding the Second Amendment. we're going to represent all of the people in the gun industry and the gun community, because they love being the silent majority. They want to work on their own things. They don't want to be present elsewhere. So let us be your voice to represent all of you. And they're willing to, put their money into it to make sure that they are well represented by a number of people. So, I was trying to think if we had, Henry Repeating Arms has been a fantastic donor. Dean Adams has been a good donor, over the last few years for us. And they're all coming back. This is what I love. It's like every year they are continuing to help sponsor us, because they truly are believing in the mission that we can help to continue to preserve the Second Amendment for all of us. Yeah, great company.
I'm trying to think of who else. Car Arms.
Car. Boy, had you told me you're going to ask that, I'd brought my spreadsheet down.
You love spreadsheets, but yeah. So there's that, and then there's smaller companies that donate product for like matches and things like that. They're like, here, we don't have a big lobbying budget, if you will, or a big support budget, but we do have product. If you can use that to help, then we'll gladly. And so I know that so there's a trigger company, and you probably remember the name.
That's right, Hyperfire. Hyperfire is one every year in Magpul one who
and Hunter's Gold
regularly. Yes. Even little companies like JM4 Holsters, Sticky Mike from Sticky Holsters. Sticky Mike, he's good at. And what it goes to show to me is that regardless of the size of the company, they are willing to invest something in us, because we produce results. All right, we produce results probably more so than others do. And they see that and they believe in it. So I just sent that spreadsheet to a particular person yesterday. So I'm seeing if I can pull it up. I'm pretty sure we got most of them.
I think we got most of them. But the other part is that private individuals, there's a spot on our website that private individuals, we had a couple people who had set their credit card for a monthly donation. And we will gladly, so, and we've got product on the website, but so, a $10, $15, $50 donation has huge value to us. And you don't have to be Magpul or Smith & Wesson or Benelli. Every little bit defends the Second Amendment.
Right. And I know I even put on my public page on the social media at one point when we were heading to DC, because I drive, because, I'm only 3.5 hours away. And I said, hey, talk gas money, we're going. And, we ended up getting from my group, like 8 $25 donations. I'm like, awesome. There's $200 for my gas money back and forth. It was important to them that I get there and make a presence and do something. And so they did it. So yeah, those little ones really do add up.
And donations like that then keep the DCProject from having to reimburse you. So it's a donation, whether it's to you for gas money or to the organization. It really is out of the same bucket, if you will, or it keeps you from having to dip in the bucket. Yeah.
Right. Actually, I did have those go to the bucket. So,
got it.
But I keep track of all this. But now that we're talking about people, let's talk about Jerry Michalek.
We got 2 minutes, so you're going to end the show with it.
2 minutes. Okay. So the last couple of years, Jerry has allowed us to raffle him off.
Like a bachelor.
So, like a bachelor, yeah. For $20 a ticket, you get a chance at being a partner and being trained by Jerry Michalek for an entire afternoon, or like 5 or 6 hours, and you win a Mossberg shotgun that he will autograph for you. And last year we brought in over $16,000, and that particular winner, Ben from Maryland, was over the moon. He totally forgot he even bought a ticket. It was like a life-changing experience for him that he will remember. So, people like that, Jerry, who can't really donate a whole pile, but he's like, I will donate my time to you. And it has just been fantastic. So we're trying to get him again this year if his schedule allows.
Yeah, there you go. We'll raffle him off. He's such a great guy.
He is. He is. He's so down to earth and lovable and kind. Again, gun community people.
You
there
meet
you
the
go.
greatest people. So, folks, we're going to have to head out now. Thank you so much, Kelly Pidgeon, for joining us on Women for Gun Rights. And we'll see you. We're not going to see you next week because that's Christmas Eve.
Oh.
Just saying. You're probably with family. Just saying. And we'll see you the week after that. So, everyone, be safe, take care, and we'll see you down the road.
This is Women for Gun Rights with your host, Amanda Suffecool, part of the DC Project.